All right. I'd like to call to order the Ratcliffe City Work Session for Monday, September 13th, 2021 at 5 p.m. at Ratcliffe City Hall. It's also being live. It's also being streamed live on our city Facebook page. If you'll please rise for our pledge and remain standing for our invocation, remain standing for our pledge.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the blessings that you give us. Father, we ask that you bless each one of these lawmakers here, that they will make the best decisions with the money that they are given, and that it will be for the betterment of our city. Father, we pray today for the Cameron Ponder family, as today is the 6th anniversary of his death, and him being a North Hardin alumni. Father, we have lost a member of our community, and he is dearly missed. Father, we ask that you bless those that are currently fighting COVID and other sicknesses, and those that are grieving losses of family members. Bless those that serve both here and abroad. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Oh. Who took our flag?
Wait here.
Where's the flag?
We use it at the cultural
Hold on.
festival.
You
got a small
No,
one,
I
you
got
guys?
one. Hold on. This is real stuff happening here.
He got the little one on his
I got
desk.
one.
Live
We did use it at the golf
Hang
festival.
it up.
That's the flag, yes.
It's gonna break me.
This will make for good on Facebook.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, there it is.
This is
How we roll.
there we go. All right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So for those watching at home, I'd say it's probably was out there on our stage for the for the festival. So, no, that one's actually mine.
Oh.
We got to go find the other one. So, no, that's all right. So, we'll welcome everyone to our council meeting. I'm sure at the end of this we'll discuss a little bit about this past weekend, but we had a great weekend here in Ratcliffe, and we'll be able to talk about some of that towards the end of the meeting. But first, we have a guest speaker here, Mr. Mike Martin. He's Director of Development and Community Outreach for the Patton Museum. Come on up, Mike. I'd just like to say, I've had the opportunity over the past few months to actually get to know Mike, and honestly, since being involved in city government and over the past, boy, say this is a good show today.
So sorry.
But to have Mike here, over the past few years that I've actually been doing this job and stuff, Mike is probably one of the first that's been really active in our community and coming out and meeting with us and discussing things and wanting to keep me up to date and our city up to date on what's going on at the Patton Museum. And so I think that relationship's great to have, obviously, for the tourism things that we do there, but the partnerships that we have between our two communities. So thank you, Mike, for coming and wanting to be here and talk about the things going on and things we got working on. So
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you for the invite.
you may have to,
Mayor.
does he need to hold that, Tim? Yeah, you may have to hold that.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, is this better?
Yep,
There
there you
we
go.
Well, thank you for the invite, Mr. Mayor, City Council. So, yes, I'm Mike Martin from the Patton Museum Foundation. We are the 501c that supports and enables the museum to do the things like actually the mayor just talked about, getting out in the community, fundraise, and be that kind of external face of the museum. So big thing, and got the great graphics up so everyone can follow along. But one of the big things that we're really working on is the who funds what within the museum. So there is a misconception that, hey, the museum is fully supported by the Department of Defense. So the Department of Defense does do a great job with the paying of the 3GS employees. They also maintain the building, keeping the lights on, the infrastructure of that building, then also like artifacts. So if this microphone is the artifact, they will pay for the artifact and keeping this artifact up to historical standards and so on. But that's where the money starts to kind of dry up, and then that's where the 501c, being the Patton Museum Foundation, we pick up. So for items like this artifact or this microphone would be, that's where we come in, get the case, get it on display, and work with the signs. But the reason I bring that up is actually just talking about who funds what within the museum. Because a lot of times we get people or visitors or even just talking with organizations or city government, and people are like, well, the museum's on government property, it's a Army museum, and it's an Army figure, so the Army obviously picks up the tab. So we're just trying to really work on getting the message out there where many years ago, I guess in the late 70s, early 80s, the local community rallied, paid for the building that the museum's actually sitting in right now. So we're just really working on getting that message out there, make sure everyone understands that how we are funding what we're doing. And then, as the mayor led into, but 2021 has been a very productive year within the museum. The first being getting the gate open. Now with that 31W gate, we are able to support anyone and everyone that would like to come on through. And that's actually helped double the numbers of visitors. Additionally, you look at the being open Tuesday through Saturday, having that weekend hours of operation, that also has led to those numbers increasing. The barracks, which most people maybe in this room or watching on Facebook Live, help donate towards. The barracks are now open whenever the museum is open. There's no more complex reservation or however they did in the past. Now, if the museum's open, those barracks are open. You're able to go through, see what the World War II barracks were like. Also, we've installed the Fort Knox timeline in there, so you get to follow the Fort Knox timeline. And that's just the start. We'll continue to enhance with time. As you led to this weekend, there's a lot of events. Very low-key event at the museum. We did the 9/11 exhibit, where the exhibit now is complete. So it's more than just the foam truck on display. There's Lieutenant General Maud's uniform, which was donated by his widow. There's the actual firefighters in their bunker gear. There's just a lot more going on with the exhibit that just kind of rounds it up and makes it a complete exhibit to see. Talking about our numbers, so we could estimate 55 to 65% of our visitors are out-of-town people traveling through the area. And then as we talked about partnerships, working with Boundary Oak, they're telling us that, hey, on a slow day, maybe it's only 5, but on a busy day, it's like 100 people that go through their doors that said, hey, we saw your signs at the museum, and that's why we came here. So that's where those partnerships are already starting to help the local community. Going on to other key events, though, our education program's been taking shape. We look forward to when the schools are able or have the interest to do field trips again. We know right now with the COVID and all that, that kind of limits stuff, but we're excited to have the schools back into the museum. So that'll be another great place where we're helping educate the future leaders of tomorrow. So there's a lot more on there, but that's just kind of those key highlights of, hey, in the past 9 months, there's been a lot of activity within the museum. If you look at our line graph, it just highlights during our full month of 31W access of July, we had over 6,000 visitors. We project our numbers for next year to be in the range of 57 to 62,000 visitors. And if you look at that percentage of 55 to 65% being people traveling through the area, that's a lot of people coming to the Radcliffe Fort Knox on a tourist-based visit. Additionally, you see our traffic online. Our Facebook page has grown tremendously. And then you can also see a key thing, though, I'd like to highlight, though, these numbers and then that projection of 62,000 people visiting does not count CST. So if next year's CST includes a family day, that's even more people that are going to come to the area for family day, but then that's more people also visiting the museum. So a lot of great information there. We're continuing to work. The mayor and I have been talking about it. So one question is the tank out on 31W. We do have a plan. We've been building our volunteer group. So we're looking at this October and November as weather gets a little cooler, and also with the calendars of the main groups that are talking about volunteering, we're going to get together and get that tank repainted. So that's another just great bridging and working with our local community. So looking at all those numbers, then going on to how the museum is sustained. So something that we're starting that hasn't been done in a while is we're going to be doing an annual sustainment campaign. And a part of that is the end of each year, October through December 31st, we're going to be working with our local community, whether that's local government, organizations, businesses, and then also the fans of the museum, to raise funds to help to sustain our operations into the next calendar year. A big part of that is meetings like this, and I know we put a request in with the city for funds for next year. The sustainment campaign, that's a lot more than just what it sounds like, salary. A lot of things that we've been doing within the museum, the enhancements. If you have not been in the museum in 9 months, I'd encourage you, please come by. You'll see every exhibit. If it's a tank, the great example is the Sherman. When you come to see that Sherman now, that's inside the tank, or inside the museum, is an actual infantry squad on the back. So we are pulling stuff out, and with very low amounts of money, enhancing the museum. So you'll start seeing those things. But so this campaign is to work on those funds. One, like as we talk about groups like this. The other one is through businesses, so our local community businesses, for those that may be interested in sponsoring or donating to the museum. Then also individuals, just citizens. Also, though, part of this though is we're not strictly dependent on donations from our local government or local businesses. We've been establishing partnerships. One of them is the Boundary Oak, the Battle of the Bulge bottle. Many of you may have seen that or purchased it yourself. So that was a great bottle that they did, and then they did a donation to the museum. Another one is Nine Line Apparel. So this upcoming November, they're going to be doing a limited run T-shirt, which is a veteran-owned company working towards a veteran military-centric 501c, but $5 of each shirt sale will go back to the museum. And then lastly is going to be the more traditional donations from our supporters and followers. So we are doing a lot of great things in the museum. We appreciate all help to sustain that, and we're really working on that 2022, keeping this level of activity to increase and to just work with our local community. So that's what I have, but I'm more than happy to answer some questions, or depends what you have time for.
Anybody got any questions?
I do have one. How long is the museum going to be open for the rest of the year?
So the museum is going to be open for the rest of the year, Tuesday through Saturday.
Mhm.
So we don't have no planned changes. Now, the only caveat, as we all probably have in the back of our mind, is COVID. Now, if the Department of Defense comes down or Fort Knox says, hey, you have to limit your hours of operation or capacity, then we must follow those rules. But no, there's no plans of shutting the museum. Additionally, this is a little further down the road, but when we do a capital campaign and a expansion and a remodel, there will never be a period where we just shut everything down for long periods of time. Our plan is very modular, so if there is something going on within the museum, it only affects a small space. It doesn't shut everything down. We never want to close the doors again.
So for donations, who's the check made out to? The museum itself? You just put the Patton Museum?
It's the Patton Museum Foundation.
Gotcha.
And then if anyone would like to chat more in depth, please reach out to myself. My email's mike.martin@generalpatton.org. Or if you reach out to the Facebook page, you send a message, myself or one of the others will respond to you, and they'll get you in touch with myself. But yes, thank you for that, though. Thank you.
Yeah, I think also Mike and I probably next month will be better. I know this thing's kind of let up because September's always a busy month. But I guess, and I think we're okay with this, Mike, we can all go over there for maybe a tour.
Yes.
Set something up where we can go through as a government, as long as media, I'm sure media, you don't mind media coming with us, but
Oh, no.
yeah, we can kind of just see what's going on over there and give us an in-person tour there.
We would love to host you. And then for those that are watching at home, other organizations, please just reach out to us. But that is something that we are really working on. And we would love to have you take the media, bring you through, show a lot of the more in-depth what we are working on. And that's a big help too. I mean, the sponsorship of the museum as a city is excellent and will help tremendously. And just as important is having that buy-in of the city leadership coming to the museum. I know we all probably, the social media, but it's very powerful. When people see that buy-in of our local government believes in what we're doing, then we will start gaining even more momentum regionally and then nationally.
Anybody got anything else? All right. Pam, you look like you had something.
Well, I was just thinking about the barracks, and I know you touched on it. So is the barracks just kind of like open to walk through when you come over there, or did you say that you have to have an appointment?
No, they are open. So I know there was a lot of stories about how it was ran in the past. Well, we got rid of all that. And now whenever the museum's open, the doors are open, visitors just go on in. There's the Fort Knox timeline. There is the barracks, the bunks themselves. And then within one of the leadership rooms, there's an actual World War II soldier standing there with his stuff laid out for an inspection. And then over time, though, we're going to continue to upgrade that so that it captures more of the different generations that train in those barracks. Because, as most of us know, I mean, they were built in World War II, but soldiers all the way up to possibly Desert Storm trained, lived out of those barracks. So there's still a lot of room and a lot of things to come with that display.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Mike, thank you for being with us tonight. We
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you for
And we'll,
working on getting that tank repainted.
Of course.
That's
Yep.
gonna be great.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, Chance, you want to come up? We have the work session discussion items. The first one is ad valorem tax. This is something we do every single year. Usually happens around this time. And I know, I talked to Chance earlier a little bit about this, just because there is a couple new council members that haven't had the opportunity to do this yet. He's just going to kind of give an overview of what the ad valorem tax is, how that operates, and why we do this every year. So, Mr. Fox.
Am I using the light there?
Yeah. Just for the people at home. Yeah.
So yes, as the mayor said, this is a calculation that's done every year. Each year you basically establish a new tax rate by ordinance. It's not a case where your tax rate rolls over each year and is assumed from the previous year. There are two rates that are computed. That is the real property rate, or the ad valorem rate, and then you also have a rate for tangible or personal property. That rate is strictly coming from business filing returns with the Kentucky Revenue Cabinet. It's furniture and fixture, merchants inventory, manufactured goods. So again, that rate is established strictly on business based off their tax filings. And then the other one rate, like I say, is residential. That will come off of both residential homes and commercial establishments based off of their fair market value, their assessed value. That's assigned by PVA. We don't do our own assessments. That's done by PVA. They certify the tax rolls each year, usually around August the 1st or on or about August the 1st. They will certify those tax rolls, and then sometime after that they will send to the cities in their county the assessed totals as a certified tax roll, and that will include all of the properties, their map IDs, the lot, the description, everything you need to know about a piece of property in town. Once we get that tax roll, we're at a position where we can upload that tax roll into our software and ultimately produce tax bills that are done from here. But the council's portion of that is setting the rate by ordinance, and that's obviously done by your all's vote. So the worksheet, it is a state worksheet. It's not something that is individualized like to each city. It is a state worksheet. Everybody has the same calculation. It is simply based off of factors, and those factors range from last year's tax rates to last year's assessments to, more importantly, this year's assessments. And those assessments are measured against last year to determine how much growth a city may have had. Growth can be defined either by new property that's on the tax roll over the previous year, or it can also be defined growth by increased assessments. As you all may know, just on the personal side, over a period of time, maybe 3 to 5, 7 years, PVA will reassess properties, even a piece of property that you've had for years and haven't sold. Obviously, a lot of property gets reassessed based off of deed transfers and what the fair market value is as properties are sold. So as a matter of going through the worksheet, you know, it's a pretty straight worksheet. I'm going to get into the details of it, but like I say, it's a driven formula. And basically, last year's real property rate was 0.154, 15.4 cents a hundred is kind of how I look at that. But it's 0.154, which traditionally has been a very low rate for the city of Ratcliffe. Then when in calculating this year's rate, there was a fair amount of growth in the assessed values, which actually drove down the tax rate. So for example, on real property, which includes, like I said, residential and commercial, just to give you a total for those that are interested, we had a little over $1 billion of assessed value in the city of Ratcliffe, actually $1,043 million. And this year it was $1,077 million. So basically around $34 million in increased assessed value, which is a fair amount over a one year period of time. So as a result of that increase, it does, the way the formula works, it pushes the tax rate down, whereas if it was the other way, your tax rate could go up if you had lower assessed values.
It's because of growth.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with growth, obviously. Again, growth measured by new construction or increased assessments. Like I said, it's a combination of both. But as a result of that $43 million, it did drive the tax rate down a little bit from what was adopted last year and also computed last year, which was 154. It did push it down to 0.150 or 15 cents per hundred, which, and I've started tracking, I started doing this a few years ago. I started tracking our tax rates over time. And just to give you a little snapshot, 2015 it was 0.159, 2010 it was 0.16, 2000 it was 0.16, and even going back 1973 it was 0.220 or 22 cents. So I'm pretty sure this is the lowest rate that's ever been computed since we started. Even had 1965 at 0.50, which I think is about as far as back as I could find. But so I'm pretty sure it's the lowest tax rate that we've ever has been computed. So once you establish the the real ad valorem rate, you then have to establish your second rate, which is your tangible rate. Again, it's also formula driven. Last year it was 18.4 cents per hundred, or 0.184. This year there was also an increase in taxable assessments on personal property. It went from 52 million to 56.2 million, so about 3.2 million in increased assessments. And as a result, it's taken the rate from 0.184 last year to a computed rate of 0.174. So down about 10 cents per hundred. And that's also traditionally a fairly low rate. It's over the last few years, it's ranged anywhere between 184 to 0.211 or 21 cents. So it's also a fairly low rate. So that being said, those were the computed rates. I always say this just because the council has the option, especially because we have new council members, but anytime the city always has the option, should they deem as a matter of revenue or some other means, the city always has the option to increase the tax rate above the computed rate. That would be done via public hearing. Cities are allowed to go up 4% above the current rate, and when you do the numbers, it would take it basically back to last year, which was 15.4.
Above the compensated rate.
Correct, above the compensated rate of this year, which was 0.150. again, I'm not here to make any suggestions, I'm just giving you information. The computed or compensating rate is 0.50. Again, the city doesn't have to take any action, but should the city want to, you could go up to 4%. And I think, and that's been done, I'm gonna say over the last 20 years, maybe, well, it's been done several times, 5 or
Yeah,
6 times.
It's been done a few times. The other
It's
thing-
been a while, it's probably been over 10 years that we've done it.
Now, the other thing is, in the operational budget right now, we haven't planned for any of the increases above what we budgeted.
Correct.
So,
We
I mean,
basically, when I set the budget, when I proposed the revenue for the city, which we then approved as an adopted budget, it was kind of predicated off of the traditional revenue growth that we experience. And in this case, it would be the lower rate, only because, again, there's 34 million in increased assessed values. That is going to give us additional money this year above and beyond what we had last year, just because the assessments, even though the rate's lower, the assessments will produce more revenue.
Yeah, I just want you all to think that we had budgeted any additional amount above in the intent that you all would increase revenue or something like that. So typically, I've always made the recommendation of taking the computed rate
Yep.
in any of the past.
And again, I'm not here suggesting anything, I'm just providing information. So, Mayor, that's what I have on the property tax rate. Let me just briefly talk about timeline. Traditionally, the tax bills go out around the very end of the month. Then there's a 2% discount that's usually around the 1st of November. So we will need 2 readings of the ordinance at a time. Those rates need to be established so that when we produce those tax bills, obviously it has the adopted rate on there. So I can let Ashley go back and look at timelines with you all later, but obviously there's a meeting next Tuesday, which could be a first reading, and then we would probably need to follow that up shortly thereafter with a second reading.
So, is there any questions in regarding of the compensating rate?
So basically, we accept the computed rate, which is the .150, which would still give us an increase revenue even by accepting the lower rate.
Correct.
Because of the increase in value of homes.
That's right.
Or property.
That's right.
Okay, so otherwise, I see you have one here, if we decided to take the 4%, I'm assuming we could take anything in between, right? Up to the 4%. Then you're saying it would generate an additional $74,000.
That's the highest. That's the 4. That would be a rate established at 154, which is the cap of the 4%.
Right, but we have to have a first reading on either the .150 or up to the .156.
Well, if you accept the rate at .150 upon first reading, or obviously subsequently a second reading, that would be the established rate. But if there were to be discussion to set a potential rate above the computed rate,
Right.
in other words, 151 to 154, that's done via, you have to public hearing first.
Okay, but if we just accept it as it is, we do a first reading, a
Correct,
second
that's right.
reading, and
Then you're done.
and we
That's
still
right.
generate additional revenue.
That's right. That's
Thank
right.
you.
Got a question, because I know it's subjective when you're talking about running models, computer models for assessment, and the values kind of plus or minus depending on when the wind blows. Does the federal tax rate have anything, or the interest rate, impact this
Has
at all?
absolutely nothing to do with it. Mortgage rates, borrowing rates has nothing to do
Yes.
with it.
Okay.
Simply based off of assessments in the community.
Okay.
The PVA, the county PVA sets those
Gotcha.
rate.
So if we
Thank you.
do our first reading on the 21st of September, will we need to do a call meeting in order for it to be projected to start getting my bill? So I can get my
You wanna be sure you get your bill quickly.
So we'll need to do a call meeting then after that for a second reading then?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
In other words, we cannot wait until, let's say, the work session in October. It needs-
Yeah, I was looking.
And we traditionally do that.
That would be 19th
Yeah,
of
yeah.
October, so
And
that would
when
be.
Chance
our
gets
second
the rate is when he submits it out.
Okay.
So, yep.
Thank you.
Anything, Chris?
I'm good.
But yeah, so I'm assuming and guessing that we'll move forward then with the computed rate. Is that what everybody's,
Mm-hmm. I don't wanna pay no more money.
everybody's good with that?
I'm good with that.
I don't think the
Yes.
representative either.
So we'll have that ordinance written up. I mean, I think it's pretty good. We're in a unique situation we haven't been in a long time with no debt.
There's no way we can
Some
justify
surplus
raising
money
it.
and lower rate in our
Yeah.
taxes is,
We're sitting here talking about a $1.9 million surplus,
Yeah.
then we go raising taxes. That's not gonna
so
set well.
I think we're in a pretty good position to take care of things, so. All right, next chance, you might as well stay here. You ain't gonna get out of here too soon. That bicycle will have to wait another hour. Discussion, so last week we had discussed, the surplus dollars. We kind of put together a little, just kind of a slide over here. I know that, all of us have probably heard several different things in our community. I know I have about some of these dollars and stuff, which I think is what we want. We want to hear from our community and obviously what things are going on. Most obviously what I heard was, when's my road gonna get done, or, you know, stuff like that. I heard some comments about what we're doing for the youth. I know there's been questions. I want to make sure that we're clear that the county is the one who operates the library. This body, this government did not close the county library. That was done by the library board that operates out in the county. And so there were some people asking about that, wanting to know if we could open that up, and obviously we didn't have control over that. And we are working through the resource center. That has really blossomed into something very nice back there. A lot of people have taken a lot of interest in that, from the women's clubs, the literacy programs. And then we've got another program that we have worked on with a Head Start that we'll be talking about here in the next few weeks. So that's what we kind of put some of those resources towards. So I'll turn it over to you guys, let you all ask any questions in regard to what we've talked about. And just to make sure, Chance, you had talked about, and just before we start that money discussion, in reference to some of these dollars, we probably we'd just do an amendment at budget time to spend some of these that are closing of our budget.
Yes, because any motion that we would make based off what we want to proceed with, I would just, as we've done in the past, we would just include motions that would say, you know, with a budget amendment to follow, because obviously by your action or vote, we're already taking care of what things may impact the budget. So that would typically be done at the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, some of them are capital. I mean, some of them are larger purchases, obviously.
Because some of the things that you all may decide to spend funds on now may or may not come due and payable in the current budget. So some of these items may be purchases that can come and happen quickly. Some of these may be project related that may take time, so.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to mention too, I know that some of the questions that came up that we had heard, that at least I had heard, I don't say we, but in reference of salaries, employee costs, stuff like that. A lot of these dollars aren't for reoccurring costs. We didn't intend for these to be for reoccurring cost, excuse me. This is for things that we haven't really put in the budget to update, and some of the things that we needed. You know, talking with our fire chief, the fire truck, and what his department needs. When it came to the Jaws of Life, obviously, we want to make sure that if someone, you know, unfortunately, I don't want anything to happen to anybody, but you know, you want that equipment working when it's your time to be cut out of the vehicle. When you look at the CAD system, you know, that was something that we had to have. That was something that the police department needs to identify areas. So these are some of the one-time purchases I know that we had to make. I know there's some people wanting us to use those in obviously funds that were reoccurring costs, and that's just a whole nother discussion. But some of these large ticket items, I think, is just something we've kind of kicked the can down the road for a while. So hopefully now we'll be able to get some of that stuff done. So I'll turn it over to you guys. Yes, ma'am.
So are we saying that we don't make these decisions until the next budget cycle?
No.
That's not what you just said.
No, what we do is, so let's say I'm just gonna use blacktopping. Blacktopping is $325. Or the tractor, obviously Public Works would love to have that right now. We will go ahead, based on what you all give the authority to move forward on dollar-wise, it probably May or June, when the budget amendments all start coming in, and when we close our budget for the 2021, 2022 budget, that's when those amendments will take place, and the ordinance will be to make these adjustments in the pay, or in the money spent.
The adjustments are made at that time, but does the purchase get made now? Like, what if you
Yes.
want to buy the tractor tomorrow, you buy
Yes,
the tractor?
you're making a purchase in advance of the ordinance being adopted at a
Okay.
future time, because the cash is available, the needs are now.
Yes.
So you make your purchases now, and then we amend on paper the ordinance to,
That covers what
that
we
covers what we
spent.
did.
Because we have
Right.
to close out.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to be clear and
Yeah.
make sure, but like the fire truck, because we said that was it might take 2 years to get it, but we go ahead and order it now because we're looking at getting the new truck 2 years from now. So we go ahead and make those purchases.
Right, some of
And
those
that's what
items
we
may go
approve on,
beyond the
right.
fiscal year, so depending on, like, the fire truck's a good example, because I think it was, the figure that I heard from the chief was at a minimum, it's gonna be a year or a year plus.
Right.
But there may or may not be some deposits that may lower it with a discount, so we may have to spend money in advance, but it's still cash out the door now that would impact the current budget in a budget that doesn't include those purchases.
Right.
So the only way to include those purchases in the ordinance so that we stay within the confines of the ordinance is to do that amendment at a later date. As long as we cover ourselves before we close the year out for the fiscal year.
But otherwise, we have to amend the budget ordinance every time you make a non-budgeted purchase. So we might have 17 budget ordinance amendments, which you don't want to do that.
Right.
So we just wait toward the end of this next fiscal year and then do all the amendments and catch them at once.
Okay, thank you.
Similar to what we did this year, same thing.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, we all agree we need the fire truck. So, I guess to start, the fire truck's gonna cost us 1.2 million. We had previously discussed.
Or?
Is we still around 1.2?
He's specking it, I mean, it's.
Yeah, I have to go out and start specking and all that sort of stuff before we get an idea of how much it's gonna
Right.
cost. Over $1 million.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
We talked about putting 500 down.
Right, so for this purpose,
Well, he's, and speaking with Jamie.
he's
after-
getting ready to go to a fire.
Yeah. And speaking to Chief after the meeting, you don't know what the requirements are yet. We know it's gonna cost at least $1 million, so depending on how we wanna separate that out over the next,
Right.
yeah, it's, I don't know, Jane, you didn't know how much they said down.
Actually, they said it's whatever, it's up to you all, depending on, and I talked to Chance a little bit about it, depending on how much of a discount that you want.
How much you get paid down, yep.
Yeah.
If you pay it all off, I think they give, there was some numbers thrown out.
Yeah, I mean.
The
yeah,
discount, when
Did
I
they-
saw it, wasn't significant. by
Yeah, it
the way.
wasn't
It was,
huge.
I mean, you could almost
40,
keep your
50,000.
money and make a better rate than you could by giving it up for a year.
Yeah.
It was not significant.
Yeah, that's what you and I think, talked about, on that amount of money, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But for this discussion purpose, well, I think we agreed 500,000 of the 1.9 to go ahead and set aside. And then go ahead and order the truck if it comes in early.
Well, my only question to that would be, you're saying committing 500, but if you're talking about using of that available COVID money, if you wanted to use up to 1.2 of the COVID money to pay for it, then you're committing 1.2. Whether you do 5 now or 700,000 later, are you saying committing 1.2?
We're not. We're not. Not from the COVID money. I think what we're saying was we're putting 500 down with this, and at
Yeah.
the time it comes in a year or year and a half from now, where we're looking at reserves possibly,
Right.
and finding it there. So of this 1.9, my understanding, right?
Was 500,000.
Was 500 only.
As long as we understand that the other
Yes.
7 would come out of existing reserves that have nothing to do with COVID.
Right.
Just general reserves or some other means through the budget process.
Right,
Right?
No, right,
That's
that's
what
what
we
I
thought.
understood.
yes. So I'm gonna pencil in 500,000 here. Simple math tells me we got 1.4.
We want a whole truck.
So
Y'all get it from.
And I-
You need a fat
Blacktop.
truck.
And I'm just talking, well, no, I'm thinking stuff that, we need to start with, like the Jaws of Life, and the CAD system, stuff that we know before we get to Blacktop's at the top, but, do we all agree that the CAD system that I think we pretty much have to do that at 245?
And I think the Jaws of Life, and I could be wrong, but we also mentioned we could do one at 35, right? And because you still
Right.
have some, right? Don't we still have one or two?
Yeah, they're both about the same age.
Right.
typically, when you're out on a scene, I mean, I guess there's times you need two of them, or can you only run?
There's been multiple accidents where both trucks have came in, we've used both sets.
We've been kicking the can for a long
Okay.
time. You might, we know we can do it, let's just, my opinion is let's do it with the both of them, 70,000.
$1,070,000.
70?
You're
Yeah.
$1,070,000.
What's that?
You're at $1,070,000.
Oh, is that what you?
I mean, so you got, how much 1.4? So you've got,
What'd you do, jump ahead on me? Well, what else did you
you
add
got
in?
325 on blacktop, you got 240.
Well, we hadn't discussed
We
that
ain't talking
yet.
that blacktop. You keep talking about that blacktop.
You said blacktop's at the top.
I-
That top, not this top.
The turnout
Not
gear
our
is
top.
next,
Turnout gear.
turnout gear would be next in line.
Uh-huh.
Fire department's hitting us hard here, chief.
I need that tractor. I gotta have that tractor for public work.
down there. We can make that.
I mean, I think we pretty much all agree to everything on here right now. I mean, is there any, I guess the easiest thing is the numbers that, well, we need to decide on the pull slide, because there is two different ones. There's a single slide and a double slide. So we would have to figure out there which one we would want to go with.
Before we get to that, are we putting the 50K in for the tractor?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think, I
Everything
mean,
on the top.
the blacktop, I'm pretty sure we all agree on it. Now, 325, that includes,
That's a 400 already budgeted. Plus
no,
325.
yeah, but is, Shelton Road, was you aiming on doing Shelton Road with the 325? And that would pretty
I
much,
think that was Shelton, if I remember correctly in talking with David, it's Shelton and Wilson. That
plus a couple other roads?
That was pretty tight. It was 200 and some thousand just to get Wilson done.
Yeah, I agree. We gotta get the, but I think we'll have money, we'll be able to fit that in.
What's that?
Shelton Road's on the list at the bottom.
No, the Shelton Road, that's for something else.
Oh, ballpark.
Yeah. So 325 for asphalt, is that what we wanna do, or do y'all want to do?
Yeah, that number may come up or down depending on how much, because we're gonna take out a little area.
And then 50 for the tractor, 10 for the salt spreader. The building, that was 25,000. That is where we was talking about the chamber building, correct?
Yeah,
Is that a fair number?
problem. That's ballparking. That's just kind of determining some paint and some scheme, some stuff.
Right. So the playground,
Playground was a wish list at Duval. Workout station was a wish list. Everything that didn't have
Yeah,
stuff beside of it was kind of a,
yeah, I'm not, let's see. Yeah, we need, the things, I think we all agree on everything we have a number for, correct? Except we need to decide the playground and the pool slides, which way we want to go. Is that correct? Is that?
And then what was it about the phone system, which was separate from the CAD system?
Right, that was upgrading the phone system in City Hall.
So let's go back to that pool situation, the pool slide. You said it's a double slide or a single slide?
Yeah, the single slide was 26.5 and the double slide was 36.4.
Okay, that's on the paper.
I'm thinking single, for
Single.
the amount of use that the pool gets.
Single.
At least we're adding two, but I think that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll put 20. And that quote, how recent was that quote? So you might want to say 30,000.
When was that quote? Last year?
Yeah, so might as well say about
Is that
30.
just one distributor though, so we can still price it? Right, we can still price it.
Yeah. So we want to say 30,000 for that. And then the playground goes anywhere from 25 to 45 basically.
And where are we
Um,
talking about putting this playground at?
That's at Duval Ballpark. Currently, there is no playground there. We have one at Dolly.
I think all the parks have one, but
Yeah.
Duval.
I wouldn't think that we would need a $45,000 playground. I think maybe budget 30,000, and again, he's gonna get some bids. But I think 30,000, we could probably get a pretty good play set out there for that. Y'all agree to that, or? Ms. Jackson, you're awful quiet.
I haven't looked at no playground, okay? I got one in my yard called 5,000. I'm thinking that, you know.
It's a little bit bigger.
Oh, you want bigger?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know.
If you spent
30,000
5,000 in your backyard.
Yeah, my grandkids are special. And they're not gonna tear it up.
I think her comment is, does it cost
Does it cost-
$30,000 to
it
put in
does.
playground equipment?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Or
mean,
more.
How much you wanna put out there?
Right.
Yeah.
My stuff commercial. I got good stuff. You gotta have kids know how to play on this stuff.
Depending on what you're going to get, I'd say we probably need to go somewhere closer to the 40. Because
To the what?
40, because
40?
that is very expensive. The commercial is very expensive.
Okay.
And there is a local company in Sonora I want to give you the information on. I would say if we're going to get something nice, and even 40,000 is probably not going to buy a lot for commercial.
Well, I think it's a good start,
But it's a good
though.
start,
I mean, because you
right.
can add to it, you know, we don't
Yes.
have to
Right.
Do it all at one time.
get
right?
everything right now.
Chance, let me ask this.
They need to have.
So, just because, before we get too far in the weeds, because I know some of these numbers are gonna fluctuate, obviously, as, you know, I never thought a piece of 2x4 would cost $20. Obviously, we know where blacktop price is pretty well set, because we got those bids. The tractor, that's what we're gonna try to shoot for, somewhere in there. I think we can probably get a decent used one. Obviously, is what I've been talking, salt spreader's pretty well locked in. Jamie knows the turnout gear, Jaws of Life. We said one, or we're getting two?
Two.
Two.
So we're gonna do two. Got you.
That was unanimous.
Fire truck, we know, that's 500. I'm just writing something out here.
If you need to, okay.
CAD system, you all said fine, right? All right. I wanna stop there.
We're
'cause-
at 472,000 left.
Yeah, the reason I want to stop right there, I think everything from blacktop down to CAD system is pretty much, hey, let's get this going.
Yeah.
Like, let's get the ball rolling. Some of these other things, and all this doesn't have to be spent, Chance, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have to spend something right tonight, like, we don't have to.
Right, no.
So, should we, because sidewalks, where are we at with that?
I would like to see
I-
the,
You
Me
got
too.
holes all over them.
yeah, I mean, if we have a little extra, I wouldn't mind putting more. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
Well,
So I
and
wanna-
I've had somebody talking about putting sidewalks up and down over there close to where you're at,
yeah,
Chris.
Loxton, yeah.
Mhm.
And they need to use them. Because there's, and I don't understand it, we get it all the time. We need sidewalks, and sure enough, they'll be walking out in the middle of the street. I mean, and there's a sidewalk there, right there.
Well, right now, they have to walk and get off and then get back on, so we need
Want
to,
'em to-
at least one side or the other of Loxton, make it
Utilize-
continuous.
Yeah, not both. One side I think is
Yeah,
sufficient.
right, yeah, one side or the, yeah,
One
that's what
side
I
that's
said.
on the opposite, not of your side, already has a connection all the way
Yeah,
down.
whichever way is cheapest
Willow
to
Way.
to
Goes almost
continue
all the
them
way
all the way
down.
down, is what I think we should do.
But,
So we
okay,
talking new sidewalk, we're not talking about the holes on.
Adding
Kentucky
adding
Okay.
to the sidewalks.
Now, there's
alone.
already 25,000 budgeted
four sidewalks.
for
Circle. I'm just
sidewalks.
talking about y'all, we got holes. I
Right,
mean,
we-
Holes,
we-
holes.
You got call.
You know, we need to put some cement over there.
Some of them, well, that's a whole, that's.
Right,
I mean, they have already dug up the sidewalks, is what I'm saying. It's like about 5 of them over there.
Yeah.
All right,
On
so
both sides.
The reason I'm just trying to put these in priority. We know blacktop tractors, obviously salt spreader, turnout gear, Jaws of Life, said, okay. So those, we're gonna work on administratively to start that ball, get that process going. Playground equipment, where's that on your all's list of priorities? What I didn't wanna do, and what I'm trying to get at is, as the money kinda dwindles down, you know, some things may cost more, some things may cost less. I don't want y'all to come back to me and say, well, we told y'all to spend that money on the playground. We said, well, we only had 10,000, you know. That's what I'm saying, where the priorities lie after that.
The basement and the bathroom in Colvin. You got a lot of water.
Personally, for me, I don't want to see us put anything on the back burner. These are all things that we
No, no,
discussed.
Not back burner, things I
prioritize.
Yes,
gotta prioritize.
right. We
Because
don't-
I don't wanna come back.
Well,
and-
I think that you know, obviously we
We
say
got the top
75,000 in
ones.
sidewalks, we can go
Yes.
do 75,000 worth of sidewalks. It shouldn't come back and say it's 100, well,
Everything
know,
that
and
has
then
a
the-
price on it,
the
Oh.
playground, when you go bid it out, if it costs 50, find one for 40.
So that's what I'm talking about. It's different when you're talking up here saying it.
Yeah.
than the
Price.
It's like going to buy a car. Do y'all just go to one lot? And, no, it takes time and there's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
priority that you have to set up. So I know it sounds simple. Let's spend money here. Let's spend money here. But when and Chance will tell you, when it comes to us, we have to know priority, what needs to be done, because I don't want to start throwing numbers out. I'm very tight on money. I mean, I'm very, this is real stuff for me here, and it's real stuff for you all. But, you know, when you say this building, that building, I just want to prioritize some of these. Obviously, Colvin's not getting any kind of number beside of it, but we're talking about the playground equipment and buildings, sidewalks, pool slides, the phone system. Is that a priority?
I don't know, how
40,000.
bad off are we?
How long you been here?
How antiquated is the question?
Does it work?
Then it's outdated
Was
if you can't get
Was it here
parts
when you
for
started?
No.
Oh,
Yeah. Which means the operating system is
so
degraded, so you might as well get the new thing.
1428 if we put 30 for the slide as an average.
so 30 on this.
If we put 30 on the slide for an average, if I did this correctly, we're at 1.428 with everything that has a number on it.
Right, we got 472
Which
left.
one you at?
I mean, anything that has a number, the only thing I did was I used 40 for the playground, I used 30 for the slide.
Yep.
As a ballpark. That gives us 1.428. From Colvin Basement on down, those items do not have numbers.
Yeah, that's the ones I was
Right.
talking
Right?
about. Yeah, that's the
Right.
one.
So is that what you want us to prioritize?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to
Yes.
figure out.
I thought you just want us to
no, no.
prioritize
No,
the ones
so
on
those are
top.
good.
I'm
One-
trying to figure out like.
Oh, on the bottom?
Yeah,
I-
what we're talking about, like Colvin hadn't got that,
Okay.
that hadn't got that.
So I think Colvin,
Yes.
maintaining our facilities is that.
Because that downstairs.
Yeah, I-
kitchen
Because you
has
all
got-
said, that's what I'm
It's the
saying, you all
drainage.
said at the top, we're good there.
Yeah.
Carving basement.
Well, I thought you
and
was wanting us to go back
bathroom.
over and prior, yeah, I got you now. So,
said
yeah,
they
Colvin,
need some
yeah,
right
maintaining
now.
our facilities, you know,
But Tim, did you know, did you have a ballpark what you thought that may have been?
'Cause that kitchen
Colvin?
is drained back up.
I know the bathrooms are pretty steep.
The
Kitchen too.
drainage in the kitchen.
Because like I got a question yesterday, or at the
Okay.
Optimus
Plumbing.
breakfast, somebody had suggested that we buy a new coffee maker, because that coffee maker is just about dead. So, you know, how much, you know, what a coffee maker may run?
One like the one that's back there now,
150.
550, I think is what we paid for that a couple years ago.
You know, so that, I mean, those are small costs. I mean, I think
Mhm.
it's, huh?
What is this Shelton Road? What are we doing over
Is
there?
that the?
that's
part-
the property over there.
That house.
But that's
Corner
minimal.
Shelton
Yeah,
and-
that's,
And,
Yeah, I just want to make sure that
Rogersville.
we, like the phone system obviously is 40,000. Then
Right.
you got, then it starts Colvin basement, reader
what,
board.
what'd you say for
Or-
Colvin? I thought we did pencil a number in for
I don't think
Colvin.
We don't
did.
have a price.
Or you threw a number at us, I thought.
No, I can't remember.
What exactly you wanting to?
Well, the bathrooms upstairs have to be done because the pool, people coming in and outside the pool, the floor's gritty and it holds everything, and I hate to say this, but mopping, the hairs get locked in the grit, and they're trying to clean, it's been then we tried to, I wouldn't say bandage it, but we put a Band-Aid on it where we had a floating floor over it, and then everything got stuck underneath
Under
the
the floor.
floating floor.
yeah.
So, I can't, I'll have to get back to you. I don't want to throw a random number out, but it wasn't cheap. And then the basement, we had looked at redoing all the grid system, putting this style lights in the basement, and then putting a new style floor down. And that was about 35,000, if I remember correctly.
Would it be easier if we numbered the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items, 1 through 9, if that's what we have, in order of how we want to do it?
Yeah,
Then we
then
can
you start
budget
putting
it,
money towards
then we
it.
put money
Yes, that's
towards
what I
it.
was talking about.
Yeah, let's just number those. I mean, if Colvin Basement, using it as 1, if everybody thinks that, of all this here, that looks like that would be a number 1.
I would
Right.
agree.
Agree.
Does that include the kitchen or no? In Colvin? Okay.
They're doing the work yet, but now, we talk about the equipment in there, like if you wanted the biggest complaint I hear down there, and it would be hard to fit it in that room, is a commercial fridge. Because the one that's there now is a regular fridge.
Regular refrigerator.
You're probably talking like, what, $4,000 for a commercial style fridge? Of course, you'd have to have it, I don't even know how you get it in there because the doorway.
Didn't we have,
Yeah.
well, true, but didn't we have drainage issues
Yes.
that we need to have fixed
Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
Right, in front of the sink.
We're not trying to
So-
find stuff coming up here, child.
So plumbing in there somewhere.
So if we agree, that would be number one.
Yes. I agree with that.
Just personally for
Because
me,
it is
looking at
hard
this
to come in,
list, the
they could
reader
be in
board
trouble.
or state park or signs would be number two.
So reader
I-
board sign, that would be a
I'll-
digital billboard.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's, would be number two to me.
Yeah, I think that should be high on
Right?
the list.
So if we said
Where
To
number,
would-
use for our festivals and,
Everything.
Is that gonna be
Information board.
out and used every day? Is that what we're looking
No,
at?
this is a,
and we want a nice one.
like a, what I'm picturing is the colored screen, decent size. I mean, I wouldn't go too, I'm not talking about a bound size, but.
But I'm just saying, this is something that you would see every single day, 365 days. This
Yeah,
is
it'd be out
not
on
something
the
we
road.
pull
Yeah, it'd be
out
like
just
a-
for festivals. It's something
Not like
we
a
use every day.
business, Like where you
Yeah,
have it out
yeah,
there, things are
okay.
rotating on it.
So if we give that a number two,
That's
everybody,
what I'm guessing. Legality wise, can we advertise on that?
Sure, this is America.
Exactly.
But you know,
Right.
you know my
Exactly.
angst with it is government owned, you have to advertise everything that comes.
so we all good with that being number two on the list?
yeah.
So a price for that's what I need and a size. We don't have to buy it today. just
Right,
all that
right,
money.
but, so, but actually, if we give you a number and then we bid it
I
out.
wouldn't give me a number until I.
No, I'm not talking about dollar wise, I'm talking about what we would like to see as the wish list.
Yes.
We would like the,
That'll
obviously
work.
the basements, the reader board would be number two. If we run out of money before we get down to number nine, the number nine's not happening,
That's
number
what-
eight's not
see where I was
happening.
going with that?
Yeah,
That's-
Right.
that's what we're
At
trying to,
what
That's
point
what we're
do
trying
we-
to do.
well, yeah, that's what we're trying to do,
All
so,
the money
state
gone.
park, that's the skate park, or the signs, or workstations, which one of those do you all think should be number three?
What else is left at the skate park?
Everything,
We're working on painting right now.
it's just being
Yeah, I
painted.
noticed, yeah.
Do we
How
need any?
benches, right?
Hmm?
You wanted 2 more benches in there or 1 more bench in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'd like more rails, more things to ride, like out there, a little bit more ramp, a little higher ramp.
Some things like
Yeah.
that.
How much,
Yeah, I was out there the other night. They do want that.
Try to look at those in, 'cause
I'm, now again, for me, I would put signs as number three, cause he's already got a lot done for the skate park. I would put skate park as number four, because then signs for Duval and Saunders Springs would be next, right? If we have money, after the reader board. Are you all okay with signs being number three, or do you wanna pick one of the other ones? I know where the mayor's going with this, I'm just trying to get these numbered and then we can get the price. So, personally for me, I like the signs. We need signs. Anybody, is everybody okay with that being number three? Then the skate park number four?
Let me ask you about the fencing.
Fencing, that's what I was
Fencing
gonna
at
go
the
for.
ballpark.
ballpark.
Fencing?
so
Ballpark, yeah.
fencing is gonna be up there. Well, I mean, we do need some signs on at least North Loxton getting to Duval.
Yeah.
You have them on Wilson getting to,
And they could be pole signs, they
Yeah.
don't have to be like the big decorative sign like.
yeah,
all of them.
there's one on Wilson.
On Wilson?
It could be a pole
But that,
sign.
it says it goes Duval Park or Duval, I'm talking about the ballpark.
Yeah, it says Duval.
Without going in through the park.
Yeah.
The main issue with.
But that's going on into Wilma, right, and then turning over there, but that
So-
door's, that gate's not open
No,
though.
no, you can,
It is
Yeah.
during season.
you can
During
measure,
season.
measure them through, but you'd have to put it on the pole signs that are existing with street signs on them.
So if
Right.
it's not season, you're gonna have to figure out
Go
how to
up the
leave there,
block.
go
Right.
back around,
So
get
you
on
need-
1500.
Right, so, well, you would need signs from Wilson. I mean, you've got one from Wilson, you need one from like Wilma, like you said, on
On the other
the corner,
side.
which
Right.
is,
Yeah.
So we say Duval fencing three? Everybody good?
yeah.
So you're
Number
just saying
s-
the amount of money we're gonna spend on signs, it's not gonna be that much, because
No,
we
it's
already
gonna-
have the main roads marked. We just need to
Right.
lead them once they get in that subdivision.
Yes, except for Duval, North Loxton has 0 signs.
Sure.
Wilson already has a big sign
Yeah.
to get, tells you to turn that way. Once you turn that way, you don't know to go left or right.
Right,
So
right.
you,
To the
once you
neighborhood.
turn that way, you need another sign
sense.
getting you to the field.
Right.
And then you need one on
And
Loxton.
Rogersville Road,
To
you
get you
need
back
one, that goes in through that
Right,
subdivision.
on Rogersville. Yeah.
Rogersville Road. Okay, so then are we wanting signs as number four?
Oh, the Shelton.
Are we
Yeah.
good with signs next?
Yeah,
Number
signs
four?
before, yeah.
You all want skate park number 5? Finish the skate park if that's the money left?
We just have to figure out what we want to do in the skate park.
I'm just trying to get you numbers. Everybody good with that, or does somebody want something else first?
What?
Of the other items left? Right now, we gotta pick number 5.
Yeah, skate park 5, yeah.
Skate park 5?
And then for the Shelton Road, they're already gonna burn the house down this fall, is that correct? Tear it down.
Same thing.
Correction, tear it down.
Okay.
So that's already scheduled to be tore down. I don't think it'll take much money to, all I'm wanting is some practice fields over there for now, to see some movement over there.
So you need some bulldozing work. major.
Yeah, I don't know that, do we need to budget much money to do that?
To tear it down.
Because you're gonna, I
You'll
mean,
need
you're gonna see a
maintenance
couple of
money,
soccer
though.
goals over there. A lot of it's already flat,
Yeah, it is flat.
huh?
You'll need maintenance money, though, 'cause
Right,
once-
yeah, I mean, that's, you gotta cut the grass.
My wheels are thinking. How long you been doing this? I'm talking about youth sports.
Oh, a long time.
Has any field you ever, it's never perfect.
Oh, well, no.
You know what I'm about to call, well, there's too many ruts over
So
there.
you talking about adding some more fields at Shelton?
Right, just, so currently they use some fields off of,
They ain't using
three,
one.
they're not using it, well, it flooded half the
Well, there's
time.
not enough over there on Shelton.
Yes, there is, that's right.
Well, you know what?
It's
Let me ask you
across the
this.
Okay,
street.
then I need to find it because my granddaughter have to go here
You
one
can't
day,
use it right
over
now.
here another day, here. I don't understand
You
that.
can't
What,
use it
uh,
right now because it's all wooded.
What
That's what I'm
field are
saying.
you-
They need to try to
who
do
are you
something
wanting
about
to
that.
use?
That's what he's
That'd be the
wanting.
first-
Soccer.
Soccer.
There's not enough space.
Currently, we don't even have a regulation soccer field.
15 over there.
Yeah,
No more than
Just
ours
nowadays, it's
are a
worse.
little bit smaller than what they should be.
Mm-hmm.
But
'Cause the city
to me,
owns it.
for a soccer
They
field, you
bought
need
it.
level ground, a few goals, and of course, you've got to cut the
Cut
grass.
grass. Yeah.
Well, that,
Well, yeah.
So I guess I'd rather have to share the field over there now.
So are we
and
making that
some
number
land over there
6?
to the right is fairly level already. I just,
Are we
one of-
making that number 6?
yes.
Yes.
Trees over there.
Mhm.
Workout
It's-
stations,
Well,
I
mean,
think
that's a good
workout
point.
would be
She's
last,
asking about the
number
trees
9.
over there. Can we
Number
not
9.
try to, I mean, I don't know how mature those trees are, but.
I
if we
drove
could-
through there the other day. I don't
Are
know
they-
how how far the property goes to the left. There's some more mature trees towards the left, towards the barn. But over there behind your house and areas, those trees are not as mature. Like you said, they're not.
Right. They,
So we
Yeah.
can't make no money. That's what you're saying?
Well,
By
I
logging
don't,
them.
I'd have to figure out how
Oh,
far
I'm
our
from the
property.
country. I know about trees, okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
You mean
that's
make
what
it
I'd
turn
said
into
last
cordwood?
time.
Is
You
that
can
what
make
you're talking
money
about?
off of trees.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said last time, you know, if
If
there's
it's
possibility
burnable,
of treeing
yes.
it.
Cord.
Yeah.
I just don't know that any of them are really big enough to do
Yeah,
that.
I drove
yeah.
over there after you had mentioned that, and then the ones over behind you and towards where Jacob lived and stuff are not that mature, but there's some more mature trees towards the barn, but I'm not for sure how far the property goes that way. And then there's one huge oak tree, which we would never cut, that's,
What was the second thing Jeff asked?
oh, this is, you wouldn't want to cut a historical tree.
Yeah, that.
Oh,
one.
yeah, we gotta put that on there.
Yeah,
For what?
Was it a new phone?
reconstruction. The reconstruction software that we use for our scenes is.
Yeah, we have guys that we send to state police to get certified for fatal accident reconstruction, and they don't have the, current equipment that they need to measure the scenes, and they have technology now that does it all via computer.
Mm.
It's digitized.
We have to borrow Elizabethtown Police or state police or whoever, if we're gonna have the team, we need to have the equipment.
That's about 16,000, so it wasn't a huge number, we can plug that in, so.
So what is that called?
Reconstruction equipment.
So it's a total station, it's reconstruction equipment.
So we're just
Action,
going back.
fatal action reconstruction equipment.
I think the other thing Jeff had talked about is, if y'all remember I'm looking for somebody can pick it up, the, circuit court clerk, is that right? Is that circuit court? But anyways, they left from upstairs with the driver's license and everything. So all that space now is just there. So at some point, you know, we're gonna have to do something with it. We're heating and cooling it. It needs some remodel work. But that's, I have no numbers, I have nothing on that. It's just, may come up in an actual budget item for next year, just so y'all know.
So we're gonna add on the total station here?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
figure, Chance and I'll figure that number out, but yes.
Okay.
So 9 is workout stations. We have 2 left, business beautification and dog park, 8 and 7. Where do you all see that? Dog park is 7 or 8, beautification. Now, the dog park, my understanding, if we're taking down some fencing anyway at the Duval Park and some of these parks, we could take that fencing and just attach it to wherever we're gonna attach it, and that could be a dog park. We'd have to investigate that a little bit with, insurance,
Yeah.
liability and things like that. I think that cost would be, I'm not gonna say minimal, but whatever it takes to use our old fencing to make if that even makes the list. Some of these things, 9, 8, 7, 6 may not make
I'm
the
curious
list.
if we just shouldn't just say Calvin, the reader board, and Duval fencing and be done with it. Would it be responsible to spend off all 1.9 million, Can we keep something back in case something happens? You know, should we keep a couple $100,000?
Always have.
Well, I think we could number, and the only reason I say that is because we, you know, and not just because it happens to be the dog park is one of the topics, whether it be the beautification. These are topics that we have been asked from our constituents.
Right.
Multiple times. You were asked, I was asked, people are talking to us about those projects. So maybe I don't want to just wipe them off the slate, but maybe they don't make it right now, but at least we're having the conversation. We've told the people that are asking us, yes, we would like to maybe see that work. It's on the top of your mind that if we have extra fencing, maybe we could move it and it just make its way in there.
Yeah.
Rather than taking it off the list completely. I agreed. We don't want to spend all the money and then some. You know, we
Right.
gotta definitely be, but I want to just number these because we have them. And then if they make it this year, they make it. If they don't, they don't. But
Right.
at least I just want to finish the list. So,
You may add stuff to the list before we
down the
even-
road, yeah. So
Yeah.
can we just give them a
I
number,
had dog park number 7,
number 7,
that's what I had.
and then beautification number 8,
8.
and number 9? So that
Workout
at least
station.
now the
Yeah.
mayor and Ashley and Chance, they have, well, how we see the priorities, right, for the wish
Right.
list part. And some of them may not make it.
Yeah.
And like you
And like I
said,
said, the Shelton Road stuff, I mean, I'm thinking that, I mean, we already have the equipment, we already have the people. The biggest thing is maintaining that later down the road and them having time to level them a couple of places off. I don't think that really needs a dollar figure. I just want to see movement over there, at least get the house torn down. We're huge on, all of us get a lot of code enforcement complaints, and here we got a dilapidated house that we own. So I'm glad to see that getting taken care of. And would like to find another place for a staging area other than right in the middle of a neighborhood for our equipment.
You don't like it sitting there?
I don't think that's a very good look for us.
Looks like construction going on.
It looks like it.
And you all did say 30,000 for the pool slide and 40,000 for Duval Playground, correct?
Yes.
Okay, want to make sure I got that right.
there's your numbers.
So dog park was 7,
7.
8, and business beautification.
It was 8, and workout stations was 9.
Workout stations, 9, 8 business. Did you have any idea, what was that idea for that?
That was some
Business
pedals
beautification.
or something?
When you
Oh,
work
the
out, when you
workout.
get
No,
to a
no,
certain
no,
area.
no, business beautification.
Yeah, because
So-
what's better in the long run when you talk about business beautification versus a dog park? When we're talking, they all equate to quality of life in some way or the other, but
So, my thoughts were on that. I mean, a little paint goes a long way to pretty up
Got 'em on
something.
my arms.
Do what?
I got paint on my arms.
Got paint on your arms? So, not that we're gonna do any work, but maybe they come to the city and get a voucher. If they get paint from, you know, a voucher for paint and go pick it up and they paint their building and we reimburse them for it. But if we're gonna be behind that, I want a color scheme that they can choose from. It can't be just any old color that's gonna be, you know. I just think a little paint goes a long way.
I think a little roundup goes a long way too.
A little roundup would be good, yeah. I mean, get rid of the weeds, get rid of the terrible signs.
And I
Just a
think what
little
Pam was
facelift.
A
saying.
little pride in your property goes a hell of a lot farther.
Amen,
Yes.
yes. I mean, people throw garbage on my front lawn, but I'm out there picking it up because I don't like the way it looks.
Right.
Wait till Chris puts that park behind your house.
I think we
Just
were
don't put the
talking
big
about-
lights facing my house where I can't go to sleep at night.
And this may be something that we have to really think about. The thought was, put together a program that we budgeted a certain amount of money, was what I thought we talked about. So say we budgeted $15,000 or $20,000, then the business community would have to come and basically submit and apply for this money. We would have to have the guidelines and the restrictions. That's how we, at one time, talked about donating, well, I'll say donating, allocating this money back out to the various businesses until that money ran out. That would be a tough way to do it, but we basically, was one of the thoughts that you were talking about, right, Pam? As far as trying to have a plan where they would have to come to the city, apply, and say, well, you get 500 for this, or maybe you get 1,000 for that. Now, how we determine who gets what for what, that would be tricky.
Would they need approval before they make that decision based on the owners? Because some of them are limited. I'm sure they would like to do things to their storefronts, but depending on the business relationship
I think
of
it would
the
have to
owner.
be the owner of the business that gave the permission, not like
Right.
the management team
Right.
or,
Hopefully how long they've been in business.
and how long, yeah, that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. We would have to establish the criteria. Years ago, if you remember, First Federal, and I think First Federal was one of the banks, they actually implemented what was it called,
It-
Pam?
it was
a
a-
beautification loan.
Yes.
Loan. It was
At a
loan.
low
How
rate.
many
At
people
a low
know-
rate.
How many,
Who
not
actually
many
used
access it at all.
Yeah.
They didn't, but that was a loan. We're talking about a grant here, so how
So
many
the city of
people?
Ratcliffe actually did this years ago, and they had one person take advantage of it.
Can I
That-
say his name?
That was Jerry Brown at the bookstore, and that's when he changed the front of the bookstore.
The facade, I remember that.
He's the only one who took advantage of it, correct? Do you remember that, Chance?
Well, so that's way down on the list. That means dog park might make it.
Yeah, the other thing, and it may be something different that we could look at, rather than give them money for that, is,
An incentive.
no, we did this 2010, when did the signs come down? When did that grant come in?
Yeah, that was run, well.
You just turned it off.
Murray handled that from planning and zoning.
Wait a second.
No,
It's probably been,
Patience.
it's been more than 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know, it's
But
been
it
a
was
while.
through planning department, and a lot of those signs,
Took down 29 dilapidated signs in the city. The business owners came in, requested it, Dale went out, he looked, they made a determination on signage, and then the property owners had to sign a waiver stating that they were giving the city permission to remove those signs.
So did they request it, or did we approach them?
They can, if I remember correctly.
I think there may have been some
There
enforcement
were some
involved.
code enforcement issues. that
So
we
some of
knew
those signs
were
needed to
bad.
come down anyway,
Mhm.
and then I think there was a contractor
And
that
they
was
cleaned
used
up
to
about
take them
29
down.
of them down the corridor.
That's 29 that were there to begin with, right?
It's
I mean,
about
every-
30,000, is that about right?
I
the
think it
grants.
was more like 50,000.
I wasn't that much.
I think so.
I'm gonna make you a bet on Facebook Live. I think it's about 30.
It's not always about the competition.
It is, for me, it's.
Yes, it is for them.
Or
I
maybe
mean,
even
even
put
But I
if
mean,
some,
you know,
even
something
if
like
we
that
put a
could even
budget
be-
together for ourselves, because we talked about putting some flags on the light poles, we talked about even if we had a budget where at one time, we had the plants, when Bryce was here and he did all the plants, and then some of that stuff is overgrown. I mean, that would be a budget that we would need to replace some of
No,
those.
that wasn't,
That
that was a grant that we received through the Highway Road Fund.
Right, but now we don't have that, though. So if we're not gonna use this business beautification, then we allocate.
That was all the sidewalk, the lighting, that was all, I
Right.
can't remember what that was
So what I'm saying though,
Yeah,
do
it
we
was
wanna
still-
clean up, cause that's been how many years ago? So are we gonna beautify our own city with the budget? If the businesses don't, then we can take some of this money and do things that we own, is what I'm saying.
Curbs, that was 2011, 12.
That was a long time ago when they did that. I remember seeing him out there planting all those things. So if that was a long time ago,
Who? Bryce?
I saw Bryce
Oh,
plant.
you-
Bryce Schmidt, I saw
I'm
you
gonna
planting
knock Bryce,
those.
Bryce
But
did do
So I'm
it.
saying though, if we don't
See
use
him
it for
put 'em in there.
businesses and we don't devise a plan that is giving a grant, then we can take some of that, if it's $5,000, and use it for our own beautifications, all I'm saying.
We gotta determine what that is. $5,000 won't even get us out of the stall.
Yeah.
I mean,
We wanna beautify the city.
here's,
Yeah.
and this is some of the examples, and Chance will tell you this. So it's hard, because we're in the day-to-day operations, it's a little bit different than what you all get to hear on a one-term basis. So for instance, mulch. What do we do mulch out here every other year. So we looked at what it would cost us to rock this out here after we went through this process out in FEMA. 40, 50,000? I
Yeah,
can't
it was a
remember.
lot.
40 or 50,000, just to do our parking lot where we have the mulch. You know, the mulch looked pretty rough this year. I mean,
Yeah.
How much does it cost to mulch the parking lot?
We did
every
it-
other year?
We did like every June there for about 2 or 3 years in a row. And we went to, I won't mention who it was, I
Yeah.
guess that's not relevant, but we used a local business and we did the whole area from the road to the police
To the back,
department.
yeah.
Oh, they
clerk's
called
office,
it.
all the way back, and it was, we hauled it, we used our equipment and hauled it, it was probably 8 to 10,000.
8 to
Why
10
wouldn't we put
and
heavy
versus
rock in
40,
there and
and then
be
we're
done
gonna.
with it and not
Yeah,
do it every-
exactly. I mean,
that?
I'm with Chris on that. Do rock it and be done with it, because
It's not
that's,
that, it's not that.
It's not that simple
it's
with
not
EPA.
that easy.
It's EPA.
No, I know, it's not that easy.
Yeah,
When
it's
we-
not that
When we
easy.
do our budget, we have to determine, because our budgets have been so tight, what is important. What
do
what
a
needs-
section at a time.
I know, but what fits in the budget? So when you look at it, we say, okay, every other year, every 2 years, we were spending $3,000 or $10,000. Well, this year, we can't afford it, we need to do it this year. That's what I'm saying, this is what this is supposed to be used for. Offset the things that we haven't been able to use money for. It's hard when you sit here in this and you put together this entire, Chance will tell you, he's been doing it for 30 years. We sit here and we do this budget, everybody thinks, oh, well, you have this, you have that, you have that. We're operating an entire city, our size, off $12 million. It's not that, is it? It's not that simple. He will tell you for a fact how much we sit back here and go through stuff. To be in a position that we are currently in, it's not a knock at you, Pam, or anybody else, but I don't like it when I hear, just go on and do it. It's not, because if we could have done it, we would have already done it.
Well, I don't like to hear that we can't do it when I know we did Duval Ballpark in phases, the fence. We can put
I'm
half
with
gravel
you.
here and then what we can afford rest in mulch this year and then
I'm
more,
telling you, it's not
more,
that simple.
more rocks and then more mulch the following year.
It's not that simple. I mean, it's not, when you look at Duval Field, it hadn't been done in how many years? How many years?
Fencing?
Yeah, fencing.
Yeah.
It ain't been done since, probably since you've been here.
But the whole
But we've been
reason-
working on it in phases. So
But that's why we haven't been able to do it all at one time.
and that's what I'm saying, you don't do the beautification all at one time. If we can only afford to do a little bit of rocks.
No,
that
what
may-
I'm talking about is when I was going off what Toshi said. When Toshi said, you want to spend $5,000?
I said, if we're not gonna use it for a business beautification, then we take this number 8
$5,000.
and we put a
I said,
budget,
This is
a
what,
budget.
this is the issue. When we say we're taking it to put it out the business for $5,000, $5,000 don't get us out of the gate. When, not to say anything what Pam was saying, but when Pam was saying, let's take it and do this, I'm saying, for an example, we can't even do the $40,000 or $50,000 it costs to do here. So I know
Right.
$40,000 is not gonna, or $5,000 is not gonna be enough to say, hey, go beautify your business. We need to
Right.
put a lot more money, because I think what Pam talked about initially was wanting to put like $100,000 or $150,000 in a fund that those businesses could draw off
But
of.
before, me personally, before we go put $150,000 in someone else's businesses,
We're gonna switch
we,
this to
as
city
Ms. Jackson just said
beautification.
earlier, we got several sidewalks with holes in them. And you
Yes.
can go up and down our business corridor and see that in different areas. I think we gotta clean up our own house before we start cleaning someone else's up.
But that's what, I'm not knocking you
No,
for that.
that's
what
okay.
I'm
I mean,
saying.
Which is what I was
I'm just all
saying.
about beautifying our city.
Right,
I
and
just
I
think
think-
we have
yeah.
to put on our best face. And if it's the city that needs to do that, then we need to take care of our,
Right.
we need to
Well, I
look at
think we
ourselves.
gotta lead by
and-
example. I mean,
That's exactly right. I agree with you on that.
Which
And
the
then-
point being, for the sake of this list is scratch off business, make city beautification number 8, and then we put a dollar figure to that when you get down to your, finishing the rest of your budget. We say city beautification, and whatever that is, if you can put, 5 was an example, if you can put 20, 10, whatever you can put there, just
What-
put it as a
I
budget.
think we talked about this at
Right?
but we talked about this at the work session, was all those, because some of those beds just have rocks in there, remember? And I told you back, I guess maybe when they even thought about it, the salt, the road grind, the runoff, the oil, a lot of that is why some of those bushes and trees probably didn't make it.
Right.
I mean,
I've had bushes that there was too much salt thrown on the sidewalk and the bushes
They
died,
died.
yes.
So I think that's why some of those hadn't, and then we had talked about spending money, I don't have that number, Murray had ran those numbers through a landscape company, and it came back something astronomical. So I don't know, I know Public Works, it said some of those beds they'd like to just pull out
Yeah, that's what,
and let it go back to grass.
and I'd have said that up and down 31W because where those rock beds are, it never got maintained. It looked terrible. Grass, if we can't maintain it, let it go back to
Yeah.
grass where it's easier for them to maintain. And
No one
then,
has looked at those landscape beds the way that I have looked at them.
well, I believe I have.
Go ahead, it's an inside joke. Anyways, but that's
Well, you
something
need
that
to
we had
lead
talked
or
about not
follow.
doing. But that's something, so if you all want, I told Public Works we'd look at them and just see which ones, because some of them are, I think you said it, is that you that said it? Some-
Beat it over.
Pam said it, are pretty rough, so.
Very old.
So now Pam, if you want me to spend $40,000, I'll put rock out there, that'd make my life a whole lot easier.
Well, no, I just think in phases though, and then eventually we're not spending $10,000 on mulch every year.
Yeah, because I know the front of the building, we talked about rocking, we were actually gonna try to do it.
But it has to be the heavier rock, not rock that's just gonna get kicked out.
No, we were doing
you
the
know.
ones like we had in the beds, the rock, creek rock, is that what it's called,
Yeah.
creek rock? But we were gonna do some of it just to take it away from,
The mulch.
yeah, the mulch. Let's see here. I don't know if y'all have a number with that, do you wanna do that?
We're calling it number 8. We're calling it city beautification. So, but we don't know a number, just plug in a number, and whatever that number is, that's what we're budgeting, without being overboard,
Well, I don't know, I mean,
right?
you change it to city beautification, I think
Then
we
you
should
need
put
to
that
change
up
the
a little
number.
higher up there. and,
Yes.
Like a
we
100.
already got a skate park, it might not be where it needs to be, but I think city beautification should be in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you
So
want me
we
to do it in
wanna-
phases, or you just wanna do it all at one time?
Well, I'd still think it needs to be done in phases, but, I mean, unless you can get a heck of a deal to do it.
Well, it's our guys that do it.
Yeah.
It's just the cost of the rock, that wasn't labor, that was just the cost to do the rock.
All right. And instead of doing bushes, I'm gonna throw out an idea, maybe we just get creative and do something different. I mean, those big rocks, those big boulder type rocks, instead of bushes, I mean, at least it gives a,
Whatever we do, I want it easy maintainable, not something that 5 years down the road, we're looking at tall weeds and we're not able to maintain it.
exactly. Put down heavy plastic and, I mean, we do a double layer at home when we're doing our landscaping.
I thought
so
about
that-
you and Charles
So
on
the
this
grass
project.
does not come up through those rocks, you know what I'm saying?
We talked about, Tim will tell you, out here where the circle was, when we did this, where the, y'all know what I'm talking about, there's, well, actually, right here where you had the thing. We talked about actually planning a stage there during the summertime and having music out here where people could come and sit.
Yeah.
Again, it costs. we just
And then,
never-
if you plant a bush that doesn't have to be trimmed. I'm sure,
We had an evergreen there, didn't we?
I'm just thinking, stuff like that. that-
We had a Christmas tree there, when it first was planted, and I don't know what happened to it. I
That
guess
thing
it
was
got a
pitiful.
disease, wasn't it all? That thing-
Yes.
Move it up, move on.
Yeah.
Move up the number, move on.
So
Anything else?
what do we put in there for the city beautification? What number?
I guess it's under skate, it's
So
under
we putting that
basement.
at 5?
Is it under basement or under skate park?
I'd put it where skate park is, put it number
So
5.
5.
Move everything else down one.
Yeah.
And then the skate park becomes 6, Shelton 7.
Dog park 8, and the workstation still stays 9.
We did talk, around the basins about benches and so on, remember?
Yes.
So one of the things I had talked to a few of you about already, I just mentioned it, is potentially looking, those benches, and I'm sorry I don't have the number with me, but Chance sent them to me, I think it was 2,000, I'm gonna say 2,000, somewhere in there. Yeah. It's about $2,000 for the current benches that we have through the city, those metal, black-looking benches. And what we had talked about is, for instance, someone like myself will probably be willing to pay for one, to go out there with like a memory of my dad. I know
We could sell
Chris
them
had
that
talked
way.
about that,
Yeah.
for Donnie. I think you had mentioned maybe purchasing one for the Lost Pounds. So I think there's probably people in the community willing to purchase one of those benches. I think that may be a way for us to make that work.
Kind of like how Green Space does it.
Yeah, pick up 1 or 2 on each basin. So if y'all, that would save some of that, beautification we could do. There's a lot of people that use those basins, and you're welcome. So,
It'll be 3 of them.
I did get a complaint about dog feces on the, I've never really walked out there. Is that an issue, or is it actually geese feces? I'm
Well,
wondering.
No, not the, it's dogs.
It's dogs?
We just got that one, well, we got 2.
there's,
But it's not one in the others.
I don't
It's
think-
2 of the big one. What's that, Quiggins?
Quiggins has.
And then across the street off of Wilson.
There's one at
not-
Shelton. I
there's
don't know if
at-
there's one up at the top.
It's not.
The one I got a complaint on was
It's not.
Quiggins,
Yeah.
Was there?
so.
It might be just lazy.
Yeah,
It
there's
is.
a vet. Of course,
But I'll
that's
tell-
2.
That area too, though,
There's
there's,
2.
you have a lot of strays in that neighborhood, a lot of strays, I can tell you, so
And it could
sometimes.
be coyotes down there
Yeah,
in that area.
fox, and
That's
there's
Yeah,
a
'cause the
fox
deer
in
went out
Ratcliffe I got a
to
call
the
on
bottom.
that
They're
needs to be
not
strapped.
strays,
You
they're
gotta
neighbors.
watch those
Totally
foxes.
different.
Let's don't blame them all on the dogs.
Yeah, I can't, in my neighborhood, they not strays, they pooping from the table.
All right,
Thank you, Chris.
yeah.
All right, so if that's it, so you all are good, we will move forward with we will move forward then. Blacktop tractor, salt spreader, turnout gear, jaws of life. Jamie, you want to check on those tools just again to make sure. Now, it will take a little bit on the fire truck. There's a whole process chief has to go through to get that started. But he'll start that process. It may not even come out of this budget. We don't know. Because there's a lot of layout and everything goes with that before really deposits and everything gets laid in. Several companies, actually, we go through, about 3 or 4 major ones, right?
Yeah, once we go out for the bid process, I mean, we can go with a couple just to get around about figure, but
75 or 100 foot? I know.
yeah, I mean, that's just something we're gonna have to look at. I mean, we're looking at 20 years down the road, probably 100 foot road. So we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay, CAD system, that's something, Tim, I don't know, does Jeff Hale need to start that process? All right, we'll work on that. And then everything under that CAD system line, the playground, obviously, building, sidewalks, pool, phone system, we'll get on that. And then everything else. You guys are good?
We're good.
I got rock in the parking lot down here too.
Mayor?
Pam, you didn't hear anything I just said, did you?
She's busy.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, what about rock in the parking lot?
Is that all the way around the parking lot?
Go ahead, what'd you think?
So, moving forward, I know we have those 12 or 13 items that equal 1.43 million based off our estimates. Some of that will come in obviously close, some will be low, some will be high. What I'd recommend, like, to move forward, whether it be next Tuesday at the regular meeting, is, and this may be a question for Mike Pike, some resolution, I don't know if it needs to be an ordinance, if I'm not an ordinance, maybe a resolution, some document that is voted on, that's put in some format with some general guidelines to it that can be voted on and approved, so that has those benchmarks, and maybe that resolution or that document begins authorizes, you know, the expenditure of those funds, let's say beginning, you know, October 1st, whatever date we pick. And then maybe have some language in there that it can come back to the council if some of those actual expenditures, you know, come in above, you know, what was estimated. But I think some funding plan so that once you all vote on it, we move forward. Anything that's on that list, you've approved. If we can get it done in the current budget, then we're gonna move forward with it. And that gives the authorization from you all to move forward. Then that information goes to the department heads that oversee those purchases. They can make their procurement, they can get the bids. Some of those will come back to you all because they're gonna, you know, they're gonna have to be voted on through a quote. But at least we have some document that was reviewed and voted on. And again, I don't know what the right document would be, if it'd be a resolution or not, but maybe we can check with Mr. Pike on
Yeah, hey, Tim, on the playground equipment, do you know, is it 40 just like what it costs to put in, or is it 40 plus labor? Or do you know?
That included, the two quotes included installation.
Okay, all right,
That doesn't include the mulch on underneath it, but that's.
okay. Gotcha. Border, did it have the border too, or no?
No,
So there may be additional cost. All right,
so we'll have to reprice all that out anyways.
okay. Y'all good? Good. Andy good?
I'm good.
Toshi? Everybody good? All right. So, all right, we'll move on. I think that was the, I think Mike Pike, did Mike Pike take my stuff? I think Mike Pike took my stuff. I guess that's all it's on the agenda.
Down to comments.
And I think the council, you know, keep in mind next year, when we have carryover money, a lot of big items we've done taken care of. You know, we would've probably got hit up with turnout gear next year.
Yeah, probably.
You know, the CAD system, different things like that, so.
Yeah, it's definitely taken care of.
If we didn't get, or do not get every little thing done, we might be able to pick that up next year because of what we did this year.
Yeah, I think we told you all that. I mean, the budget you all approved and changed and made, I mean, there was a lot in that budget. It wasn't.
Right.
A lot more than what we typically would have had in a budget over a year. So, I think we're in a good position. Taxes are good, no debt. We're paying off some of, getting some of the things done we've waited on, so I think everything's working out so far. Who wants to start? Pam, I'll let you start on your end. I'm sure you have a lot to talk about.
That's why I was trying to focus on what I was going to say. Sorry about that. I just want to thank everyone who came out on Saturday for our cultural festival, but I especially want to thank Dennis Parrott, who came out and helped us with the opening ceremonies in remembrance of 9/11, the 20-year anniversary. So while we had a celebration on Saturday, we definitely did not want to forget that it was the anniversary of 9/11. So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that we did address that. Mr. Winkenhofer did the red, white, and blue of it, which is a poem about our flag. And Alicia West did a patriotic song for us that day. So I want to give a special thanks to those folks who helped us to really focus on that part of 9/11. But we also had the mayor from Belize, Mayor Mariano, who came and joined us, which was an interesting visitor to have. I mean, it was a nice visit. It was just nice to have somebody from another country come join us on our festival. So thanks to him. Thanks to Jeanette Stevens for putting that 9/11 piece of it together for us, because she's come from out of town to help us with that. Thanks to Toshi for being the coordinator and getting this thing off the ground. We had a big day, and thanks to everybody who came out and participated. I heard that the parade was bigger and better than our sister city. Shall I say? Our neighbor.
White Grove didn't have one this year, though.
Well, that wasn't the neighbor that I was talking about, but. So we had a great parade. I mean, we could see the parade wrapped around the block. I mean, it was a long parade.
And I'll say something about the parade, but yeah, it was.
So good job on putting that together.
I'm still recuperating from Saturday. I have taken a nap every day. I mean, I didn't make it to the concert. I mean, I came up to check on on everybody, but I was tired. I started at 5:55 at the community center, so I enjoyed Saturday. But I did want to make an announcement. We're going to be, my catering is going to be having a fundraiser next Friday and Saturday. And I would just like to see some of my council members, my mayor, to support us. We're trying to support some of the ladies that want to go to our National Fall Conference, which will be the end of this month, the 1st and 2nd of October in Lawrenceburg. We really try to support our disabled veterans, and so we want to support some of those that need to go and get their training. So we decided we would do that to assist some of those that they don't have to come out of their pockets. So if you all could come to Carvin Community Center, it'll be from 12. I sent you all the flyer since we got the group with the mayor, that the mayor had started up. So if you all can come support us, be next Friday from 12 to 3, 11 to 3 Friday, and from 12 to 3 on Saturday. We are taking orders, so if you can look at our menu and see something that you would like, we would like your support. Thank you.
I have to echo our cultural festival, Ratcliffe Cultural Festival, Saturday. In light of COVID and the current state of affairs, you know, it was touch and go up until probably the last week, and some tears shed. You know, we don't know if we're going to have it, not have it. We do want to have a very safe community, but I have to say that we're very proud of the results of it. It would not have happened if it wasn't for the mayor, for the city, for Ashley, for Public Works, for everyone that sitting up in here that came and helped and supported. And it was our first cultural festival having it here on the property. It worked out wonderful. So many positive comments from the vendors, from the people that had came. The food trucks ran out of food. I think it was just a wonderful day, and personally from me, and I know Pam likes to thank me, but she does so much behind the scenes. I mean, we do make a very good team along with everybody else, but that, if you put on a festival, Mayor knows, anybody that's put on anything, it's not easy, and there's a lot behind the scenes, but the community was very supportive, and I just want to thank everyone. There's too many people, but it was a great day for Ratcliffe, a great day for Ratcliffe. And the mayor will touch more on that. Tuesday the 21st is the Ratcliffe Small Business Alliance Luncheon at Colvin. Everyone is welcome. It is our guest speaker, keynote speaker will be Colonel Lance O'Brien. He is the Fort Knox Garrison Commander. So you're welcome to join us at 11:30 to get your lunch, and the meeting starts at 12, Tuesday the 21st at Colvin.
Something popped in my head. I thought about Chris when you said that. I don't know why. All right.
You're going to be last week in
Paul, yeah, no, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I have another event this Saturday. As long as it doesn't rain, it's going to be the Paws United Pet Expo. This will be the first time that this will be held in Ratcliffe, also the first time, but it will be the 6th expo that will be held at the old U.S. Cav store, which is now the Appliance Parts of Ratcliffe, across from 84 Lumber. We are having the Hardin County Animal Shelter. They're bringing their big bus, they're bringing their vet, and there will be a shot clinic, a low-cost shot clinic. So if you are in this community and you need to get your pet, their rabies shots, the different shots, microchip, they will be there Saturday. We will have vendors, food vendors, and the Quiggin Basin that you can walk around. We are having a dog walk. So come out at 8 o'clock, bring your pets on a leash, walk with us, come and see the vendors, and while you're there, get your pets vetted. That is the Paws United Pet Expo this Saturday, 9 to 2. You can start walking at 8. Thank you.
Miss Hunt?
Yes, sir.
I believe they did, September 18th.
Always like to thank my first responders as I get to spend more time with Chief Henderson. On the 9th of September, we had a structure fire, but we've had something since then. But Unfortunately, that family was not able to stay in that dwelling, but they were okay. We had no fatalities. Somewhat of a short night, so that truck would have been right on time had we had it there. Also on Fort Knox on Saturday, it was a memorial that was a moving memorial in response to 9/11. It was the Team Red, White, and Blue for Fort Knox and Elizabethtown chapter, and that's strictly for veterans, dependents, and family members to get them out and not be, unsocialized, if you will. So our job was to meet at 7 o'clock that morning in front of Wayburn and do the moving memorial of the flag from sunrise to sunset. It was a long day, but we had different teams to do different things. We also had a service in the main quad with the Human Resource Commander leading off with the Mod family and how we came up with the name for the Mod complex. And of course, General Mod was the most senior officer killed in the Pentagon on that day, to include a friend of mine, Colonel Wagner, and a couple other people that was on his personnel staff known as the G1. So we did a tribute to him as well. And then last thing, I had a few comments reference the Cultural Fest, and I think it might have just been a misunderstanding. Patriots Day, which was a National Day of Service and Remembrance, which someone tried to bring to my attention. I believe, Mayor, they left a note on your phone. Reference Public Law 10789, which Congress designated 11 September of each year, in which the U.S. flag will be brought down half-staff, and that day is more of a day of service to the community versus a fanfare in the community. But I think it's the interpretation of that day. They did. So I just wanted to make sure I voiced that for our citizens that left me with a whole bunch of phone calls, because that's what they should do. That's what we do for them. So other than that, sir, that's it.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Just say great job to Pam and Toshi on the Cultural Festival. I know y'all had a lot of help. Thank you to Miss Jackson, who pulled through at 11:30 at night. I'm not for sure if everyone saw us. We had our I Love Radcliffe shirts on. Miss Jackson was literally delivering them to us at 11:30 that night, and turned around and got back up and was there at 5, 6 in the morning. So, thank you, Miss Jackson. Also, thank you to Jason Basham, Lonnie Basham, Josh Basham at Red Hill Poultry, Brent Gooden, Boundary Oak Distillery, for putting on a nice event up there Saturday night. So thank you to them. That's it, Mayor.
Yeah, I know, because we'll probably say no, but it's been a long few weeks trying to get through all the stuff from. But we were glad, obviously, that night before the Jeep show. We thank all them, the Bourbon on or Rock, Jeeps on the Rocks. I forgot what they called it. On the Rocks.
Bourbon on the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
Bourbon on the Rocks.
But yeah, we started off, and honestly, between our fire department, our police department, all of our city staff, I mean, literally every department, finance department, everybody was somehow engaged in this weekend, and it was a very long weekend. But we started off Saturday morning. Obviously, like Friday night, you guys were here. Your husbands, Charles, you're Charles, but that Charles, putting the sound together and getting everything ready. Obviously our spouses take a lot of stress and everything that we do, and being gone and doing all that. And so we appreciate them. That morning, obviously, we want to thank the Optimist Club. I heard they had a great turnout. Pancakes were great. Food was great. We want to thank them, and that's a great fundraiser for them, and they do it. They do a lot of great work here in our community, so we're always proud to support the Optimist Club.
Lions Club, ice cream.
Lions Club as well. Very happy with our turnout. Toshi and I joked earlier about not, worrying if anybody's ever going to show up, and I remember driving over to the event and or the lineup for the parade, and gosh, I didn't see anybody there, and I was like, and I told several people, I remember calling Ashley, I don't think everybody's gonna be in the parade line. And sure enough, as we turn the corner, there's a ton of people obviously there. It was great to have our grand marshals, Damari and Matthew, both are I don't know what you want to say, teens here that are dealing with cancer, and they were very excited. The families were very excited. The community was very good to them, so I was very happy to have them as our grand marshals this year. Obviously, the mayor. The Cultural Fest, thank you to you guys, the committee. Obviously, everybody that worked hard to put this thing on. I didn't know, you know, when we sent the letter and Ashley did the letter to send the mayor of Belize here, I really did not believe he would show up. I just, that was kind of a, you know, wow. But he did, and honestly, he was a great gentleman, very personable, didn't know what to expect. We all had the opportunity. I think you and him got to hang out a little bit at the concert.
Yes, we did. We
And,
actually got to have a beer together.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and we hung out the
Mayor,
day before,
I
the night
want to
before.
back up and say, piggyback on what you said.
Yeah.
The city helped us out tremendously, so we could not have done it without the city.
Oh, no,
Um,
we're all cities.
Our city employees, though, really stepped up and took care of, you know, a lot of the behind-the-scenes type of things. They put up the stage, they picked up all the garbage and, you know, just made sure that everything was, you know, in order. And so we just want to make sure that the police, the fire, the city workers all know that we really appreciate all the work that was done that day.
Yeah, and you know, they all know, most of the guys that we have all been here for many years. They all know their roles, and it makes it so smooth, and the transition so smooth, and the parade route and what we needed to do. But it was a great day. I mean, it really was. And
All the way
all
around. The
work,
weather
all
was
the worrying,
beautiful.
Weather was great.
Just a little windy.
It was a little windy. I wasn't expecting the wind. And then, you know, we transitioned up to Boundary Oak and Red Hill Cutlery, which, you know, that was a whole nother event. And it turned out very well. Everybody was very happy. I know I saw several people enjoying the festivities and having a good time. And I think everybody was very excited. So we look forward to doing that. Like Chris just said, the Basham family, Jason was the brainchild who pushed a lot of those ideas, put the bands together.
Well, I think Josh is the brainchild, but Jason
Jason,
actually did a lot of the
the work.
Well, I'll give Josh the brains.
But you know, we didn't have any issues. Everyone was there all night, from our Parks and Rec guys, our Public Works guys, our police, fire. Chance even showed up for a little while. But yeah, we had a lot of people there. I know Barbara and her family was there. So we're very happy with that. But honestly, Russo over here, Ashley, you know, from the contracts, making sure everything is signed, everything was done, all the way down to the porta potties placements. Ashley was running herself to death. So honestly, it takes a good community, advertising, people on Facebook, people sharing it, people, all that good stuff. I'm gonna wait till 7. You got a soccer game to go to. You probably ought to mention that here in a second. But long story short, great. Very happy. Thank you to everyone that was supportive. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for all that. Thanks everyone for doing it. Chris, you want to mention something about the girls real quick?
North Hardin plays Elizabethtown tonight it's a district game. If North Hardin girls win, they'll be #1 in the district. So come out and support North Hardin. Game will be starting.
Is that at North?
Yeah, it's at North Hardin. The game will be starting anytime, so I have to go.
So we'll have our next meeting September 21st, 2021, 6:30, regular meeting. We'll have a couple agenda items, but other than that, we should be good to go. So not really that we need to
Make a
motion to adjourn, but
So moved.
Hey,
Second.
Chance, or Chris, you got any objections to?
Well, there's no motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay.
Not the first rodeo.
All right, thank you all. Thanks.
He said I have to go.